What you're looking at is an original gas mask from World War I. So in World War I, 1914 to 1918, chemical gas attacks were still a brand new thing. No war had ever had gas attacks in them before. And consequently, means of protection against gas attacks, that being gas masks and filters and things of that sort, were still in their infancy. But by 1917, pretty much all the major European powers had adopted domestically produced gas masks for use in the war. The Germans had one, of course. The British had the smallpox respirator, the SBR. The French had the M2. The Russians had fucking something or other. But when the United States joined the war in 1917, as with many other things, we did not have our own domestically produced gas mask. So, it ended up being a situation very similar to the M1917 helmet, which was modeled after the British Steel Mark I helmet, where we ended up taking a British design and attempting to make it better. So the British, as I mentioned, had the SBR gas mask, which was one of the more effective ones that one of the nations produced. So we tried working off of that. This model was supposed to be an improved model of the British SBR, and it was called the American SBR, the ASBR. And we produced about 20,000 of them, shipped them over to Britain for testing, and the British almost immediately found them to be completely useless. So all those ones were recalled, sent back to the United States. The canisters were painted black and were stamped with "Do not use in a gas attack," and they were used strictly for testing and, well, not testing, I'm sorry, training purposes. And we went back to the drawing board, and then we came out with this in October 1917. This one in front of you is called a Corrected English Model SBR. That means CEM. They called them CEMs. Alright? Now, this is an earlier war, well, not early war, but early American participation in the war, CEM gas mask. And I can tell because of two things. First of all, you'll want to look at the mouth guard coming off the angle tube there. That's what this triangle shaped thing is. These were adopted in October 1917, these gas masks, so late 1917 to early 1918 ones had a more triangular shaped mouth guard like this, where later 1918 ones had a lot elongated mouth guard and it was more diamond shaped. Another way you can tell the difference between an earlier and a later one is by looking at this harness on the back. You'll notice that it's elastic, 5-point harness, and it has no buckles, no any means to adjust it. Okay, that's because these earlier ones were non-adjustable. They included a safety pin, so you could just bunch it up and safety pin it together to get it to fit easier. But that's about it. Only the later ones had buckles and were adjustable. Alright? This number, you see the 2 right there? Very faintly inked on the front. That is the size of the mask. You'll find size 1, size 2, size 4, all those different sizes. And that would be printed on the front of the mask. Okay? The serial number is printed on the edge. This is the inside of the mask. It was produced with rubber and fabric. So all that black rubber on the inside has really seen better days. But some of it is still there. Right? This is the nose clip. The nose clamp. This was very much despised because it was very uncomfortable to wear. And here's the mouthpiece that would go in the soldier's mouth. That mouthpiece is attached to the angle tube, which is attached to the hose that goes up into the filter box, also known as the canister. This is a Type G canister. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a Type H canister. The Type G canisters were the earlier ones that they came out with. And you can tell a type G from a type H because type H will have a number on the top, a serial number. And the type Gs do not have that. So the serial number on this one looks to be 134H. They'd always end it with H on the type H canisters. Alright, and they were painted yellow. The paint is really wearing off a little bit, but it's still there. And there's the bottom. Alright, I'm real careful with this thing because it's over 100 years old. And things like this really weren't made to last 100 years. So, another thing is a lot of people seem to think that they were producing these with asbestos. In World War I, they didn't have asbestos in the gas masks. That was World War II. This is still not safe to put on your face because all that rubber is going to crumble off into your eyes and nose and shit, so you don't really want that. But as far as asbestos goes, it does not have asbestos in it. So that is the corrected English model of the SBR, produced October 1917 to late 1918.